What's going on YouTube? Q back here again with another video for you. In today's video, I'm about to do some comparison and contrasting on the Acura Integra A-Spec versus the Type S. So I sold my A-Spec 6B manual technology package to jump into the Type S, and there's a lot of differences between the two, and a lot of people are asking me like, Q, should I get the A-Spec or the Type S? Because the Type S might be overkill for you, or the A-Spec might not be enough for what you want, depending on what you want. But I'm about to go over the differences. So there are some things that I do miss about my A-Spec Integra. Like, that car had a lot going for it, but the Type S, it just blows the performance out of the water. But it did lose a few key features on it, so I'm about to discuss that in today's video. So sit back and let's get into the video. Before I get into today's video, I want to give a shout out to the men of culture. We got Race Car Friends, Blueprint 1LE, 100 Gang Nate. Go check out their channels. They're in the featured channel section of my channel. So before I sold my ZL1 Camaro, I got the A-Spec Integra. I just needed a daily driver, and I did not expect to be making videos on this car. I just needed a normal car that I felt that was sporty and practical to get me and my family around. I had no idea so many people would be interested, so I kept on making videos on it, and I got a lot of content on that. Go check out my playlist on it, got a ton of videos in there. But like I said, I never intended to be making that many videos, but I did fall in love with the car. And then as soon as I saw a sneak peek of this, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get that one too. But we're about to go over some of the things that this one has that this one doesn't. So let's take a walk around both of these real quick. So if you don't know what the A-Spec is, that is the normal Integra. Was actually fully loaded, so it's got all the features that the Integra offers. And that one over there is a CVT, and you can get a couple of different interior combinations. You got red, orchid, which is white, or black, and this one has the black one. But the Type S is more of a sporty car. It's actually just a sports car. It's a sport version of the A-Spec Integra, and you still get a lot of the same practicality, but there are some minor differences and major differences. But this one, this is a blast. This is the carbon metallic, and this is the same color that I have with the red interior. So as an all-around family car, these Integras are amazing. The one knock that I do have against this, it is more family than sporty, but this is more sporty than family. So choose your poison, whichever you want, but this one is the more sports car. This is the more practical car of the two, even though they're the same exact car. But the first thing that I do miss about my A-Spec Integra is that sunroof. Like, I've grown to love sunroofs ever since I got my Hellcat that had a sunroof on it. But going over to the Type S, it does not have a sunroof on it. So since this is the Type R clone, this is a sports car meant for the track, and it is track capable, very track capable. It'll embarrass a lot of rear-wheel drive cars. For rigidity purposes, they didn't put a sunroof on here. So that's why the Type S's and Type R's don't have a sunroof, for rigidity, so it keeps the car stiff on the track, which is built purpose to be a track car. And if you haven't, go check out my video where I took this car to the track. This thing's amazing. I just mentioned that this is more family oriented than sporty, but this is a very great chassis on here. I was able to thrash this car 10 out of 10, like use all of its capabilities in normal driving situations, and that is crazy. I'll show y'all a clip of that. Back in Southfield. But the Integra Type S, the limits are much more higher than that of the A-Spec. So definitely the tires are going to be, this is a huge upgrade in tires. These are the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's or Super Sports, whatever they are. And then you got some rinky-dink Continentals on here. I do recommend upgrading those. Those are not great tires. They're commuter tires, but if you want like handling and things like that, something better is out there. And people say if you upgrade the tires, the road noise will calm down. I personally never had a big issue with the road noise, but if you want a quieter experience, then upgrade the tires. But these tires are kind of what made this car fun, because I was able to take it at the limits, past the limits, to where I can invoke understeer and a little bit of rotation on there. Because as you know, the Type R, I don't know about the Type S yet, but you can get the rear end to swing out with lift off oversteer, and I was able to get a smidgen of that on my A-Spec Integra, and that was a ton of fun. Let me talk about these seats for a minute. It's been a minute since I sat in the A-Spec, but the interior that I had on that one, just use your imagination real quick. I have the red on red, so where the black is on here, it was red suede on the A-Spec Integra, but on the Type S it's black in here. I feel like the seats in the A-Spec Integra were more comfortable than that of the Type S. They feel harder than the Type S to me. I don't remember the A-Spec being that harsh. Like, they're just hard seats and they don't hug you. These aren't going to hug you as well, but I just felt like they were more comfortable to sit in on a daily basis. And since these both have a comfortable chassis, actually I think this one is more comfortable than the A-Spec. I feel like they should have the comfortable seats to match it, but from my recollection, the A-Spec has better seats. Quick shout out to Acura Troy. This is where I got the Type S from, and this is the demo model that I bought. It's got like $6,000 worth of upgrades on here. You can actually upgrade the A-Spec as well, depending on what you want. This thing can have like $7,000 worth of options on it, should you choose to do so. So both of these cars got a lot of accessories that you can add on to them. So however you want to, like, they both share a lot of the same things, like heated steering wheels. You can do the carbon fiber mirrors, the blackout badges, the illuminated badges. This one doesn't have, I don't see anything on here, but there's a lot of things you can add to your liking. So I want to talk about the efficiency, and I'll make this quick because I know y'all love performance. But the efficiency on the A-Spec is obviously much better. But overall, like combined mileage, I figure they're about the same. What I remember, I got like 28 miles per gallon averaging on this, and it's about 23, 24 on the Type S. So where the difference is on road trips. So I've taken both of these on road trips. I really took this one on a road trip, made like a 2,000 mile road trip to Florida. But on certain road trips, like 3-4 hour road trips, I was able to get like over 40 miles per gallon, and that's stellar. On this one, the best I was able to do is about 28 on the combined road trip. I haven't done too much road tripping. I actually only done one road trip, and that was while it was breaking in. I'll come back to that point later, but this one is going to blow it out the water. So we got a 1.5 liter turbo versus the 2 liter turbo. Got 200 horsepower versus 320 horsepower. Got 2 pipes versus 3 pipes. And these 3 pipes sound a lot better than these. But this one doesn't sound bad at all. Especially if you modify it with some exhaust, resonator delete, this will sound good. But this stock sounds a whole lot better. Like, I can't believe it's a 4-cylinder. So where the A-Spec wins is in this back seat. You actually get 3 back seats in the A-Spec. In the Type S, you only get 2. I actually don't even know why they only put 2 in here. Like, I know this is a Type R clone, but we could have got the 3rd seat. But let me get on with the review. And then the USB ports, you don't get none of that down here. Like, no extra USB ports. There's no rear vents in here. Like, that was a huge gripe that a lot of people had on the Integras in general. But you don't even get the USB charging ports back here. Weight savings, but come on, man, this is the luxury version. We need stuff like that on the Acura. And I assume this car is locked, so we are at the dealership when they're closed. But if you look in the rear seats, you can see there's a plastic bag on there, so that's accessories that need to be installed. Probably the front license plate, but in the back you do get those USB ports in that center console. Also, where the A-Spec is going to win again, in the front seats. So we got the poverty spec here. This is where the memory seats would be. The A-Spec tech package does have that. The Type S does not have it, and this car costs a whole lot more money, like $15,000 more, and you don't get memory seats. Thankfully, unlike the Type R, you do get power seats for the driver, but on the passenger side, it's just a manual adjusting seat over there. So yeah, A-Spec in that regard. So this is where the Type S is going to win between the two, and it's something that you might not think of, but driving this car for about 10,000 miles, that rev hang was just atrocious, man. Like, that was the most thing that I hated about the car, was the rev hang. Just doing upshifts, it was hard to drive this car smooth because the RPMs would just hang around and then they'll start to drop. But while they're dropping, or while it's hanging there, you're shifting and engaging the next gear, so it's going to drop down abruptly, and your shift isn't going to be as smooth as it could be or should be. And I'm assuming they did that for efficiency. But the upshifts in here are much, much better. Like, I've personally never dealt with rev hang until I drove an Integra, and that's still the only car that I have driven where it's extremely noticeable. I don't notice it at all in this Type S. I don't notice it at all in any other car, but the A-Spec, that rev hang And that's what had me thinking, like, I was going to do a tune on mine to get that taken out. But then if I'm going with the added horsepower, it just made sense for me to get this. Because I had a lot of plans to do with this one, but I can just outright buy the Type S, and I'll get all that stuff with my factory warranty. So that's the route that I chose to go. But that rev hang is terrible. I would highly recommend getting a Honda or a K-tuner on there if you do have one, and if you like the performance driving, if you do have the manual. If you have the CVT, it won't matter, I guess, but the rev hang is horrible in here. Another thing I want to briefly touch on was the infotainment system. My A-Spec was a 23, and this is most likely a 24 out here. And my Type S is a 24, but I don't notice those infotainment issues at all. Well, I noticed it like once. In my A-Spec, I noticed it dozens of times, and it was quite annoying. Like, it did its job, but like the disconnections, how the cluster would just read something else, like my songs when I'm navigating on a road trip, it would just shut off, like, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. So that's stuff I needed, and that was a huge annoyance. So I haven't noticed that in the 1 4-hour road trip that I have taken in the Type S, but anything over an hour driving in this car, I would notice it in the A-Spec. But that was a 23, so like I said, they could have fixed that with the software for a 24 model year. So I'm not going to say that for 24s, but definitely the 23, I experienced that. And had driven both of these cars at their absolute limits, I can tell you that the understeer is going to be more prevalent in the A-Spec. The Type S, I really didn't get it to understeer when I took it to the track. It wants to rotate somewhat, but it like once you get to that limit, it's easy to control, and I still haven't experienced the understeer. It's like when it comes to that time, you just back up off of it, and that's a front wheel drive thing. Like, you got to ease up off of it because of the nature of front wheel drive, and that's where a lift off oversteer would generally happen. So that's probably why I was feeling the rotation in the Type S. But the A-Spec, it was more understeer biased, and I did feel some rotation a few times, like lift off oversteer. Now I'd imagine if you got a thicker rear sway bar on the A-Spec, you could get that rotation to happen as well, but that remains to be seen. I didn't test it out, but that's the route that I would have gone had I chosen to modify it. Last but not least, it's going to be the power difference, and this is the obvious thing, but we know the power is greatly different in these two cars, and the characteristics of them is pretty different too. Like, you just get the rev higher. The Type S revs to 7,000 RPM, and the A-Spec rev to 6,500 RPM. I personally enjoy revving out more, so the extra 500 RPMs was better for me. But with this car, like, I'm doing over 60 miles an hour in second gear on this one. In this car, I get to just blast through all the gears. So that was fun to be able to go through most of the gears all the time, just going 10/10. This car, I gotta watch it because it is a fast car. Like, it's fast by modern day standards, 0 to 60 in around 5 seconds, which can get you in trouble should you just choose to do those things in certain areas. But this car, I could do a lot of just flooring it all the way a lot of the times, and it was just fun. Like, I'm having a blast and nobody even knew. So the chassis on both of these cars is amazing, even in A-Spec form. Like, this is a great handling chassis. The Type S just takes it to a whole new level, but even in the A-Spec form, this chassis is just amazing. Honda engineers did their thing on this one. You're trying to go balls to the walls, but the A-Spec, it was actually a little bit of a slouch off the line, but once you get into motion, it did not feel slow at all. Like, the 0 to 60 on here is like 7.2 seconds, and I did it with my Dragy. I got like 8 seconds. I still got to do it with this car. And shout out to Race Car Friends. He did his Dragy on this. Well, he didn't do it with the Dragy, but he did 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds with his Type R. So I should be able to get around that same speed. So it's a whole lot quicker. It's a whole lot more capable on the track because it's a way more beefed up car. $15,000 worth? I don't know. You be the judge of that. But these cars are both, like, the Integra is a great car. I'm glad they brought it back. No, it's not a two-door. It's not a coupe. And a lot of people saying there's no way from the original, but even, man, this one will blow the doors off of a Type S on the track. So I don't know, the performance is there, but I guess it's the nostalgia of the former Integra Type S's. But yeah, even the new one is fun. Like, I haven't had a lot of experience with the OG Integra, so I don't have a horse in the race, so I don't have my opinion doesn't weigh a whole lot on there. But if you have driven both, let me know your comments. So that's my thoughts and opinions on the A-Spec versus the Type S. Like, the Integra is a wonderful car to drive. Like, it depends on what your needs are. Like, if you got a question, just drop a comment and I'll get to it. But everybody's looking for different things in the market. Like, my goals and what I want out of a car is different from what you guys are going to be most likely, or it could be the same, but just ask and I'll answer. Like I said, the A-Spec is a great car too. Like, if you don't want to pay the $52,000 starting price of the Type S, I think the A-Spec is a great way to go as well. That rev hang though, just warning, go test drive one and see. Like, these are a whole lot more readily available than the Type S's. Like, hopefully a dealership will have a demo model where you can drive. Like, when I got the GR Corolla, a lot of people were thinking like, oh man, he got rid of the Integra for the GR Corolla, but I just had to run it back on the Integra because it's such a great car. Like I said, I didn't even plan on making videos like this on the Integra, but a lot of people liked it and I started to enjoy the car. I'm like, oh, this is a different type of fun. Slow car fast. I'm gonna end today's video with that. As always, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, browse the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next one.